Hi. So yesterday we were talking about angle pairs and one-step equations. We were talking about our vertical angles, adjacent angles, complementary angles, and supplementary angles. Today we're going to be talking about angle pairs. And the book says two-step equations. They want you to solve two-step equations. But really, these are still going to be one-step equations. What's going to be happening is we have our angle they're asking us to find, which is 2x. They're solving for the variable, then plugging back in to find what the measure of the angle is. But we're looking for 2x, and we solve for 2x while working for our equations. So I'm going to show you on some equations, like this one over here. The book does it a little bit more complicated than we need to. And in this example, I'm going to show you how we could have done it a little bit simpler. So once we find our 2x is equal to 132, we found the measure of EHF. And we can stop right there. Our 2x is 132. Then they want to check to make sure that 132 plus 48 really is 180. So let's talk about this one. We have a complementary angle, meaning that these two angles add to 90 degrees. The book combines like terms. But if we take a look, we have two separate angles. We have angle 1, which is 35 degrees, and angle 2, which is 4x plus 7. We know that if we add these two angles together, we will get 90 degrees. So we have 35 degrees plus our second angle, which is 4x plus 7, has to be equal to 90 degrees. So instead of doing what the book did and combine like terms and then finding it out later, we can move the 35 from one side to the other by subtracting it and find out what 4x plus 7 is equal to right away, which is that missing angle that we're looking for. So we can find that 4x plus 7 is equal to 55. If the question was different, and instead of asking for finding the missing angle, they asked us to find what the variable was, to find x, then yes, it would be easier to do it the way the book said. That way we're getting all of our constants to the other side, and then just have to solve for the variable. So when you're looking at the question, just be careful with what the question's asking, because this way is a little bit more work if they're asking us for the variable. So with that being said, then they're doing their check. Actually, they don't do the check, but they should do the check. We should add 55 degrees with our 35 degrees and make sure we really do get 90. Here they're giving us another set of angles and asking us to write and solve an equation to find the measure of JML. Again, they're only asking for the missing angle, so we can do it the way that we're doing it here rather than the way the book tells us, which is going to be a little bit easier since they're just asking for what the angle measures. So we have our two angles that are forming a straight angle. We have our JML, and over here we have N. They're telling us that this angle is 3x, and this angle is 54. We know that we have a straight angle. These two angles are supplementary, which means that they add to 180 degrees. 3x plus 54 is equal to 180 degrees. remember, we're looking for the missing angle. So we're looking for the value of 3x. So if we subtract 54 on both sides, that's going to end up giving us 3x is equal to 126. So this missing angle right here is 126 degrees, the whole angle. If we want to go further and solve for the variable, we can, but that's not needed since they're just asking for the measure of the whole angle. So the next question is basically saying, why is it okay to stop at that step? And it's okay because, as I was saying, we're not searching for our value of x. We're searching for our whole angle, which is equal to 3x, and we found out that 3x was equal to 126. So that's why it's okay to stop there. Here they're asking about some vocabulary questions, and then they're also asking us to use these figures to solve. So let's take a look. For 1, they're telling us if 2 angles add together to be 90 degrees, what are those angles? And we can say that those angles are complementary. Two, they're asking if we have 2 angles that share a vertex and a side and do not overlap, what are those angles considered? And they are adjacent. This is all coming from our vocabulary that we discussed yesterday. Adjacent angles. Now is coming for using the figure. So they're asking us angles A, G, B, which is 30 degrees, and angle D, G, E. We can see that they're opposite each other. So because these 2 angles are opposite each other, those 2 angles are vertical angles. They want us to find the measure of EGF. EGF. So they're asking about right here. So let me draw a little picture so we can write the information that we know. So let's see, we have 3 lines. One line is going like this. One line is going like this. And the other line is going... So it's not going to be a perfect drawing, but it's going to be the best that we can get it. So we have our A is over here. We have our B. We have our C, D, E, F, and G. They're telling us the angle AGB is 30 degrees. They're telling us that angle CGD is 50 degrees. And they're telling us that FGE is 2x. Okay, so this is the information that we know. In 3, we said that AGB and EGD are vertical angles, meaning this angle is 30 degrees as well. 330, not 300. We know that FGC is a straight angle, meaning if we add all 3 of these angles together, that's going to give us 180. So we know that 2x plus 30 plus 50 has to be equal to 180. In this case, we're looking for the value of 2x, so I am going to combine like terms. That's going to give me 2x plus 80 is equal to 180. Subtract 80 on both sides. And that's going to give me 2x is equal to 100, which that's the value of the angle we're looking for. So we can say that our measure of angle EGF, or we can say FGE, is 100 degrees. 5, they're asking us to use this diagram over here. They want us to find the value of x and the measure of M and Q. So here we have to do it the way the book says, because they're actually asking for what x is equal to. So this is where the two-step equation is going to come into play. So we know that 3x minus 13 plus 58 is going to be equal to 90. I'm going to combine like terms. It's going to give me 3x plus 45 is equal to 90. Subtract 45 on both sides. That's going to give me 3x is equal to 45. Divide both sides by 3. That's going to give me x is equal to 15. Now that I know x is equal to 15, I have to find out what angle M and Q is. M and Q is our 3x minus 13. So now I have to plug in 15 where I see the x. That's going to end up giving me 45 minus 13. So that's going to tell me that that angle is going to be 32 degrees. So we have the measure of angle. Oh, I forgot that up here. The measure of angle M and Q is 32 degrees. So we can do a check if we want. We should be checking that our 32 degrees plus our 58 degrees is equal to 90. And we'll see that we will get 90 is equal to 90. So that works. This is our check. So that's for 5. 6. They're saying suppose that you know angle T and angle S are supplementary, and that the measure of angle T is equal to 3 times the measure of angle S. How can you find the angle of measure T? This is going to be all in substitution. So what they're telling you here for 6 is that we know the measure of angle T plus the measure of angle S is equal to 180. We also know that the measure of angle T is equal to 3 times the measure of angle S. So if we substitute that in here, they're almost using as a variable. We can say, all right, well then let x equal the measure of angle S. We don't know the measure of angle S, but we're letting x equal it. So that means that the measure of angle T is equal to 3 times the measure of angle S, which is x. So now we just have to substitute it in. All right. Well, the measure of angle T is 3 times the measure of angle S, which is x, plus the measure of angle x, s, which is x. That's going to equal our 180. Notice all we did was substitute it in so that we can try to solve. That's going to give us 4x is equal to 180. Divide by 4 on both sides. And what we're going to see is that means that x is equal to 45 degrees. Remember, we let measure of angle s equal x. So that means that our measure of angle s is 45 degrees. And that means the measure of angle t is 3 times 45 degrees. So our measure of angle t is going to be equal to 3 times 45, or 135 degrees. Then we just have to check to see if 135 plus 45 is really equal to 180. And we will get 180 is equal to 180. So that is true, that our measure of angle s is 45 and our measure of angle t is 135. So the work that I'm going to ask you to do is page 257. They're going to be asking about vocabulary, finding angles. They're going to be asking you about reasoning, why, how you can find angles, and just using what we've been shown over yesterday and today. If anyone has any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you.